You ever have that moment where someone compliments something you did and you genuinely don't understand why? They say it was brilliant. You think it was obvious. They're impressed. You're confused. It's not false modesty. You really can't see what they're seeing. Abraham Maslow would have a name for this. He'd say you're living in D-Cognition, and that you've desacralized yourself. If you're smart and can't see your own value, this isn't humility. It's perceptual blindness, and there's science behind it. Maslow distinguished two fundamentally different modes of perceiving reality. He called them D-Cognition and Being-Cognition. D for deficiency, B for being. In D-Cognition, you see the world through your unmet needs, like invisible glasses that filter everything. You don't see things as they are. You see them in relation to what you're desperate to get. A starving person looks at an apple and sees food. A satisfied person looks at the same apple and sees color, shape, beauty. Same apple. Completely different perception. Now apply this to yourself. If you grew up desperately needing to prove you were worthy of love, your D-Cognition can't see your achievements as real because you're judging them by an impossible standard. Did they finally make you feel loved enough? The answer is always no. So, they don't count. You solve a complex problem. D-Cognition asks, but did this make you belong? No. Then it's irrelevant. You create something original. D-Cognition asks, but did this fill the void? No. Then it's insignificant. See the pattern? Your intelligence is being measured by a ruler that has nothing to do with intelligence. It's being measured by your emotional hunger. And hunger is never satisfied by intellectual achievements, so you conclude you're not that special. Maslow observed this with fascination. Objectively brilliant people who were completely blind to their own brilliance. Not from modesty, but because their perceptual system was calibrated wrong. They looked inward and could only see what was missing, never what was present. He called this deficiency perception, and he discovered that the smarter the person, the more sophisticated the blindness. Because you don't just fail to see your value, you construct elaborate arguments proving why your value doesn't exist. You use your intelligence to deny your intelligence. Anyone could have done that. I just got lucky. It wasn't that hard. Other people are way better. Brilliant rationalizations, all false. Here's where the second concept comes in. Desacralization. Maslow observed that modern societies systematically destroy the sense of the sacred. They turn mystery into commodity, reverence into cynicism, the extraordinary into ordinary. And you do this to yourself. To desacralize means to treat as common something that's sacred. It means looking at a miracle and calling it an accident, looking at a gift and calling it luck. You were born with a mind that works differently, that sees patterns where others see chaos, that solves what others can't even formulate. That creates connections across chasms others don't even know exist. This is sacred. In the deepest, most secular sense of the word, it's rare, it's powerful, it's part of the mystery of why you exist. And you treat it like scrap paper. Maslow said that self-actualizers had resacralized their lives. They'd recovered the capacity for wonder, for honoring, for recognizing the extraordinary as extraordinary. Not with arrogance, with reverence. Think about the difference. Arrogance says, I'm better than you. Reverence says, there's something precious here that deserves care. You don't need to feel superior. You need to stop desecrating what's sacred in you. So how do you exit D-Cognition? How do you learn to see yourself clearly? Maslow discovered this happens through specific experiences. Moments where deficiency needs temporarily quiet and you perceive reality without filters. Sometimes it's in nature. You're at the Grand Canyon and suddenly you see the vastness of things. And for a second, you see yourself with the same clarity, small but part of something vast. Sometimes it's in creation. You're so absorbed in making something that you forget to judge whether it's good enough. And when you finish, you look and think, I made this. Sometimes it's in love. Someone sees you completely and doesn't run, and you realize that maybe you're seeable after all. These moments show you what B-cognition feels like. Clear perception, no distortion, no need coloring everything. In that clarity, you finally see the obvious. You are, in fact, intelligent. This isn't imagination. It's not luck. It's simply true. And truth doesn't need inflation or deflation. It just needs to be recognized. But there's a fear here, a fear that smart people know well. If you recognize your own brilliance, you become responsible for it. You can no longer hide behind, "I didn't know I was capable." You know, and now you have to decide what to do with that. Maslow called this existential responsibility, the weight of knowing who you are and choosing what to do with that information. It's easier to stay in D-Cognition, safer not to see, because ignorance is an excuse, clarity is a calling. But here's what Maslow learned from studying entire lifespans. Living in D-Cognition doesn't protect you. It corrodes you. You can spend decades pretending you don't see what you see, that you don't know what you know, that you're not what you are. And this doesn't make you humble. It makes you fragmented. There's a psychological cost to denying reality, even when the reality is about you. Recovering clear perception isn't about ego. It's about integrity. It means what you know about yourself on the outside finally matches what's true on the inside. So try this. Just as an experiment, for one day, suspend D-Cognition. When your mind says this is no big deal, ask, "How do I know that? Or is it just my hunger talking?" When you diminish an achievement, pause. Ask, "If someone else had done this, what would I think?" Treat your intelligence like you'd treat a work of art at the Museum of Modern Art, not with worship, but with the appropriate recognition that there's something precious here. Resacralize yourself, not because you need external validation, but because truth deserves to be seen, and you're part of that truth. Maslow believed each person carries within them a unique spark, something only they can contribute, and that denying that spark isn't humility, it's waste. Your intelligence is your spark, burning quietly while you pretend not to see the light. Maybe it's time to open your eyes,